Former DUP leader Jeffrey Donaldson has faced 11 sex crime charges. The number of offences, which has just been revealed, is said to have spanned decades and includes a single count of rape and 9 counts of indecent assault. Jeffrey Donaldson denies all charges. Joining me now to talk about all of this is Alex Kane, former Director of Communications with the Ulster Unionist Party. We got some information as regards the charges that Jeffrey Donaldson will face. When will we get chapter and verse?
I think he is due in court on the 24th of April, where I think at that point we will the media will know the full accusations of times and locations and things like that. But at the moment we just know for definite that there are 11 charges, but what the specifics of those charges are we don't know. And in knowing the specifics of those charges, of course, that in itself brings another problem for the DUP, because parties always worry in cases like this whether an offence will be linked, or whether a story is linked to the one person involved, or whether it somehow trickles down and spreads to the voters' view of the party generally. So I think that the 24th of April will be a very important day for the DUP in that sense.
Because he was the leader of the party, I mean, we have seen where there's been scandals within political parties, most notably, I suppose, the Conservative Party in Britain, where it doesn't necessarily tarnish the entire party with the charges that are brought against one individual or the scandals that surround one individual. But when you've got a party leader, it may well have that effect.
Well, I think it's the important thing to remember about this, but we've never had this. Northern Ireland politics has never had a case like this. So there is no, in other parts of the world, and probably across GB as well, there's, if you like, a go-to crisis handbook for when a party finds itself in this sort of situation, how it deals with it, what it deals with. It's got an organisation working behind the scenes. Sort of, how do we separate the party from the individual, and so on. So we've never had this in Northern Ireland. So this is a terrible form of learning experience for any political party, but particularly for the DUP, which takes such pride in its commitment to Christianity and to Protestantism and so on. There will be a grassroots of the party which will be very, very upset by this sort of thing. So again, that's why I say when the full story is known later this month, the party may begin to get some sense. I know. I've spoken to people. I've spoken to members of the party. They say there is anger on the ground. Now, that's what they're worried about, whether that's what you just mentioned. Is it in anger, which will be directed solely at a former leader, or is it in anger where people say, well, this reflects the party, this reflects them? All parties will tell you this, Pat. All parties have been through this. They know that sometimes, even though an issue shouldn't affect them as a party, it can, particularly if the person involved is such a hugely significant political figure in their party and in politics generally.
Now, the problem, I suppose, is that they will ultimately have to appoint a new leader, because whatever happens on foot of the court hearing, there will be a trial, the preparation of books of evidence and so on, the proceedings of the trial. This could take a long time before it plays out, and it would be unthinkable, I suppose, that a party could go along with a stand-in for many, many months. But
no, Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, but yet they'll probably try to avoid a leadership contest.
Well, I think, yes, they will try to avoid a leadership contest. They will replace the leader. Gavin Robinson, who is the present deputy leader of the party and a member of Parliament, he has been appointed as interim leader. But according to the rules of the party, they have to actually... Jeffrey Donaldson himself stood down, resigned as leader, so there is now a leadership vacancy. So they cannot avoid having to have a permanent leader. What they will want to avoid, though, Pat, is when the deal was done, the DUP, which Jeffrey Donaldson took total possession of and was almost solely responsible for getting over the line, thanks to his efforts in the last few months of last year and a couple of months of this year. He faced internal opposition from some of his own people in the House of Lords and some people in the House of Commons and from some people across his party, but he still got it across the line. But we know that there is still a division in the party between those who thought he shouldn't have done the deal because they say the Irish border is still there, the border in the Irish Sea is still there, and others have said, look, there's nothing we can do. Let's learn to live with it, basically. What the party do not want right now is, once they announce that there will be a permanent leader to be put in place, they will not want somebody say, for example, Gavin Robinson, who was very pro-Donaldson and very pro-deal. They don't want a competition between him and someone else who was anti-deal. They do not want to open up those sores and wounds, because they sort of hoped that had been settled in the past few weeks. But we have a situation, the old thing in the English thing, but events to avoid events. No one saw this moment coming. So there are people, and I've spoken to them in the DUP, who do want a leadership fight, who do want it on the basis of the deal shouldn't have been done anyway. We didn't expect there to be an opportunity to bring it down. We're going to use this opportunity. So they will be moving heaven and earth to prevent that sort of leadership contest. They will just want Gavin Robinson nodded through, basically, with no other contender.
Finally, the PSNI in a statement said that it first received a report about all of this on March the 7th of this year, and then interviews with 2 alleged victims took place in the following days. It certainly has moved at a pace that is maybe unexpected.
Well, it is unexpected, because usually cases like this can run on for much longer. But why it's significant, Pat, and why the date matters, because there are some people who are saying that, because at the end of last year, Jeffrey Donaldson was still saying very clearly that he wasn't ready for a deal, that no deal was ready to be done, and people who were expecting it were going to have to, cool their heels for a bit. And then suddenly, almost quite literally, overnight, and it was almost like an overnight conversion, he started promoting the deal. He said, we're going to do it, we're going to sell it, we're going to get it across the line. Forget everything we said before, this is what we're going to do. So there are people who are suggesting, that some of them said it very publicly, that was Donaldson pressurised into doing this deal because of what was lurking in the background. So that's why the date is significant. The PSNI are still saying it was around the 7th of March, I think they were saying, which was, a month or so after the deal was done. There are other people who are saying, are trying to suggest at the minute, that it was happened weeks earlier. And I know it's just one of those weird, peculiar things in politics where a date will specifically matter. Because if the PSNI finally say, well, actually, we were aware of it, say, for example, in January, we had the first inkling of it, then there will be people in the DUP camp and elsewhere who will say, so these allegations, this story predates the signing of the deal. So again, that's why the date is so significant right now. And again, could be a problem the DUP will have to deal with. They won't want to deal with that, because that opens up another much bigger can of worms. But my understanding is that the PSNI have doubled down over the weekend on the date. They're still saying it was March.
Alex Kane, former Director of Communications for the Ulster Unionist Party, commentator and columnist based in Belfast. Thank you very much for joining us.